So hey, Jamie, Steve, how was Monday?
Hey, thanks, Scott. Well, I thought I was already sharing my screen out, but something must have happened there. So you do have eyes on now, correct?
Or,
Hello, you're good.
All right, excellent. Yes, how was Monday today, Jamie and Steve? Well, Monday was kind of, there was some good stuff out there. A little lackluster on the action, of course, until the very end there, which we'll see here in just a moment. But welcome, everybody. Today is the last day of August, the last office hours of August. Fall is creeping up quickly, and usually there's quite a transition from people coming back from vacation, coming back into the markets. But in lieu of recent events, it's going to be interesting to see if we see a big change in market activity. Guess we'll find out tomorrow. What do you think about that, Steve? Okay, we'll get back to you on that one. So before we get started here, just want to take a moment to buzz through a registered investment advisor or somebody like a Series 7 licensed stockbroker that can legally dispense buy and sell information to you. Once again, all the information we share with you guys in these webinars is for educational purposes only. All right, moving right along here. Always like to take a little bit of time at the top of the hour to let everybody know, especially the new folks, which we have a lot of these days, about the community that we've created around the award-winning technology that is Trade Ideas. And of course, Barry's Trading Room, which by the way, but the trading room is a great place to be. Doesn't matter if you're an advanced trader or a beginner or anything in between. Typically about 300 to 400 people in there on any given day. One of the great things about the room, other than Mr. Barry Anderson, the moderator of the room, is the price, which is free, right? So if you've searched around the web for decent trading rooms, you know that most of them worth their salt are not free, whereas ours is. That's one of the benefits you get when you become part of the TI community. You don't even necessarily have to have a live subscription to get in there and see what the trading room is all about. So do yourself a favor and take advantage of that resource. Of course, on Mondays, you get myself and Steve for the 5 p.m. webinar, Mr. Dan Merkin, along with Williams. Always interesting with those two, typically giving you a peek at new features coming down the developmental pipeline. Andy's going to round out the 5 p.m. Eastern webinars, and I ride shotgun with him in the trading day of the week, starting at 12 p.m. and going until 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, the next slide will show you how to get there. All you do, this is hosted via YouTube, so the daily support session. Also throughout the day, that channel is also streaming the trading room live as well, but from 12 p.m. To 1 p.m. Eastern, it is the live support session where you can come and get any issue, help with the strategy, anything is fair game during the daily support session. So come and join us for that one. Hi, we can see right here, a little plateau here, but boy, it's off to the races again as we come to the last quarter of 2020. In 2020, I guess 2021 is going to be interesting. 2020 certainly has.
I saw a funny tweet the other day. Joe Wiesenthal's January 2, 2020. It's like the world's worst aged tweet ever.
Yes. Have interaction with Brokerage Plus growing as well. And as you can see here from the bar graph, orange orders are demo orders, blue orders are live. I'll have to check again, but I think we cracked another record as far as monthly live orders pumping through Interactive Brokers, which is currently the only broker dealer that you can use Brokerage Plus to trade through. Ironically, they're one of the few that still is charging a commission, whereas when we started with them, there was no zero commission game yet. They were the cheapest commissions in town. But hopefully, and knock on wood here, we will have some $0 broker dealers being able to connect to Brokerage Plus in the not too distant future. The rumblings are E-Trade is going to be first, followed up with Ameritrade. And I do know that the E-Trade version of Brokerage Plus is currently in testing. So hopefully coming out sooner than later, be our first foray into the $0 broker dealer world there. But as you can see here, orange demo orders increasing every month, followed by blue live orders increasing every month, and every month part of these demo orders are converted into blue orders. So we expect that to continue as people continue to see the value and embrace Brokerage Plus. All right, getting on to the agenda today. In keeping with tradition, and let him take a look at the larger tracking ETFs, talk about where we've been, where we might be going, and that was kind of an interesting little move there towards the end of the day there, Steve. So I'm going to kick it over to you. You should have the helm now.
Basically, stocks only, yeah, the green hammer copy here. But now, try and keep this clean. Anything above this line is in good moments. It's pretty simple. So every time we get a little far above it, I'd be a little cautious. I'm not saying don't buy anything tomorrow. If you're going to buy something tomorrow, hopefully it's blasting with relative volume and a news story or a catalyst behind it. Catalysts don't care about the backdrop. But if you're buying just regular old stuff and just trying to do your normal routine tomorrow as a day trader, you might not have the win. There's still no case to be made. Train is leaving the state with a bullish flag tint to it. Correct. Carvana, Zoom media. I'm digressing a lot from what I was. NASDAQ has led us higher. So that's what we want to focus on. And when we take a look at the NASDAQ, we also are probably ready for a pretty good breath. You know, we can just see its market's just kind of bouncing along. You got some nice profits up here. Maybe you want to thin out a little bit on the open tomorrow. If we open tomorrow week, maybe you take half profits on things you've been thinking about thinning out of a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. But that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I just want to remind people how bullish I am on silver. Just looking at this right here, this is what I see. I see a strong trend coming into this flag formation. It's been, you know, this is a breakaway gap down here. We'll call it what it is. There's no chance of that being filled. Probably another breakaway gap there because it looks as if this daily candle closed today and gave us the thumbs up and the nod that the path of least resistance is in fact higher there in silver if we look at it in that perspective. Interestingly enough, silver was up, you know, a few percent get out of gear, but gold might be just setting up to do the same thing. But I believe silver is where really the best bang for your buck is right now. Gold is everybody's favorite, but they call silver the poor man's gold. So if gold's been doing great, which it has, $2,000 up there, that was a horrible line. Let's get rid of that one. All right, so a little bit of a shot across the bow to the shorts here today in gold. We'll see if, you know, I have no doubt, I should say no doubt, I should have no reason to feel otherwise that the path of least resistance remains up. Got to choose our words carefully here. Remember that slide we talked about? We're not financial advisors here. That's pretty much all I've got, Mr. Jamie.
Good stuff. Yep, gold and silver looking strong. Had that nice run. Pullback was inevitable, but it looks like the pullback phase could be over.
Before I go, the IWN just loves to disappoint. I mean, it cannot get back to highs. So the small caps are a little bit disappointing. I'd really love to have seen them move higher off that last candle, but not today. Anyway, the dollar is a mess too. That's the UUP. The dollar is just an absolute mess right now. All right.
Yeah, it might have something to do with tripling the money supply. I'm no economist, but you know, just kind of thinking that might be it.
Jim, you can right-click into properties, and you have a lot of options. Right-clicking to show executions, show indicators, show AI trades, show smart risk levels. Those are probably the ones you want to play with there, Jim.
Very good. Thank you for pointing that out. All right, let me grab it back here, Steve, and we shall proceed. I'm going to play out. We get a little bit of accelerated volume to try to kind of sniff out what the institute. And boy, I thought we were going to land right on 50-50 today, but not quite. 51% bearish, 49% bullish, which when I see readings like this, I'm thinking to myself, well, okay. Number one, I think, you know, the AI might, it's going to be a coin flip. AI might do well today. Maybe it's going to do better in conservative mode. Turns out today it did just that. One module finishing in conservative mode, the other one finishing in moderate. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. But as far as the activity in the market went today, we can see here. I mean, check out the action. Just inchworming up and down all day, going to lows, going back to highs, or close to highs if we call this 10:05 mark the high, all the way down here, and then just kind of grinding back up the rest of the day. And then we had a little algo sell program come in. We don't really place too much merit on that. Probably just a bunch of algos doing their thing. But in any case, what this helped me do is gear up mentally for the day, going, okay, well, there's going to be profit potential out there just like there is every day, but from what I've seen in the past, based when readings are like this, it's not going to be a continuation day. You might get up nicely in a long, you might get up nicely in a short, but you better be taking profits along the way and setting some good stop loss management on the parts that you remain open. You know, if you take half off, good profit, you better mind that stop loss because a lot of the things that were going up nicely today pulled back, and a lot of the shorts that were going down went back up. So if you didn't take the cookies, well, you might have just gotten crumbs when it came back around. So that was my take on the opening 15 minutes here, and you know, pretty accurate read based on the action that we saw here, couple at the close. In other words, if it's not above 55% green, typically, especially in these market conditions, well, be prepared for anything and be prepared for a little bit of upside, but quicker, fiercer downside as well. All right, so let's talk about how Holly performed in this market. We can see over here, if we focus our attention on the toolbar, 1.0 was quiet today. No trades from 1.0. We had 4 trades from 2.0 and only 2 from Neo, which is typically the more aggressive of the trio there, but only spitting out 2 signals today. And of those 6 signals that were generated, there was a tiny bit of moderate and conservative spread, a couple of decent add-on opportunities, and even one trade around opportunity in BECN here. So typically when I see readings like that from the compare count window, that you know, 51, 40, 49%, what I'll do is I'll just kind of sit back and watch the AI and you know, trade it more from a manual perspective, which was the case today. So let's just take a look here real quick. Let's take a look first at USB. This is a great little short, probably my favorite trade of the day that Holly produced. Love was pretty cool, but it gave it back pretty quick, as we'll see in just a moment. Let's take a look at the USB trade here. All right, looking at 5-minute candles today, we got the open way back here and the signal coming not quite 2 hours into the open. We can see the blue arrow right here. Let's get my pen out in case anybody's having problems. The little blue arrow signaling the 36.52 entry point for the short play. Now, take note of the strategy. This is downward momentum that flagged USB today. It was not a breakout strategy, but look at what we had coinciding with the statistically viable signal that Holly produced, telling us to short at 36.52, coinciding exactly with that breakdown. It's what I like to term an auxiliary pattern or a secondary pattern unfolding along with a statistical probability. Now, as stated earlier, and the compare count windows and the nature of the market didn't make it easy on us, okay? As soon as we take this short right here, whammy, after about 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, looks like we're going to get stopped out, but you know, doesn't make it up there, okay? Just kind of stalls out right here, which is another good sign. Made it about halfway through the stop area before capitulating back over. So if we're in it with Holly right here and we sit the little wiggle here and we come back down here, this would have been a great add opportunity for a Holly AI trade, okay? First signal here, little pullback to the upside, come back down here, test this level once again, forms a nice clean break once again, especially going back to this opening 5, 10, 15, 20-minute low here, and then it releases and gives us the majority of the move today, all right? So plenty of time to get in this one, all right? Up here, you had a change AI after monitoring it on this level right here, seeing it get about halfway through the stop area, and then it starts to roll back over. Plenty of time to get a better price than the AI, add to it right here for the majority of the move. So as far as well-behaved trades go today, this one was well-behaved, of course, just like a lot of the ones that were out there today, whether it's this one, some of the other ones that we're going to look at. If you didn't take the money and you thought, well, we're going to come back up here and maybe take another run at lows, nope, right back up to the entry line. So, you know, once again, it doesn't matter if it was long or short today, a lot of these things were regressing back up to their entry levels. And even, all right, looks like Steve's got the questions under control here, so we'll get right on here. Now, I talked about an add-on opportunity here, but of course, we have to talk about the spread between conservative and moderate profit. Now, we also know that at one point in time today, this moderate profit was a lot higher than what we're seeing because this is reflective of the close. So all we have to do to take on to take on additional risk when we see Holly getting out, and we look at the reason, reduce risk, okay? Holly gets into it, it's heading a little bit higher, but not getting anywhere close to the stop area. It's going in the wrong direction. So the more likely the AI is to pull the plug, okay? Simple logic there and kind of a modified trailing stop there. But all we had to do is be a little bit patient, okay? Stick with our hard stop because that's why we're in there. That's why we use hard stops, because if we're wrong, that's what's going to make the pain stop. That's what we're willing to lose. So it's always a good idea to stop to your to stick to your hard stops. If we would have done that and stuck with the trade and ignored the AI's exit call in the reduced risk mode, we would have been rewarded by taking additional risk, all right, not playing the conservative mode. So even though it's not a huge amount as of the close, the difference between negative $40 and the peak here at the lows here, let's just kind of 36.52 drop, but that's only to the tune of about a quarter, okay? So quarter on 400 shares, up about $100 there at the peak, okay? But there's still a big difference between negative 40 and $100, so therein lies the spread. Same thing with CGen today, except this one was a long. Coming later in the day. This one also kind of coinciding, not a real pretty range break there, but not the first one either. So I really wouldn't even consider that when I'm looking at the trade here, but a nice signal from Holly nonetheless. Hey, we get kind of the same action that we had in the USB trade. Holly makes the call, and for a good, 5, 10, 15, 20, 45-minute period there, we're going sideways again. Why did Holly exit this one? Well, it wasn't a profit save, it was a timed exit, okay? And if we look at the strategy, the 5-day bounce that produced that trade, we can see here, if it hasn't been stopped out or a profit target has not been hit in 90 minutes, right, it's just gonna close the trade out. It's gonna do what it's programmed to do, which is close the trade out. So we can see right up here, Holly closing the trade out, and this little bar right here, down here at the sell arrow. But we got a little bit more of a move higher there. Now, once again, higher than the close that we're showing right here. So all of these spreads were a little fatter, a little bit juicier when the market was open. But even taking these closing values here, that's still a 3x factor between 1543 and 40, and did have higher potential during the trading session for even a larger spread there. Now, let's see, the other add-on was RYTM, which was also containing a little bit of spread here between 1661 and closing price of 47.17. But of course, you can see this one was much higher in the day. Looks like it peaked out right there at the 31.22 level, closing at 29.60. So almost a 2-point regression, 2-point give back. Just as I was saying earlier, a lot of these stocks were high flyers, up a lot, but if you didn't take that money, then boom, back down to flat or even a loser. Now, this one was interesting. I'm going to go ahead and flip back to, boy, my chart's all whacked out. Saw this in real time, flopping around after Holly made the entry, just kind of ebbing and flowing right around the entry line. So I said to myself, right about this candle, okay, this one could turn out to be a nice little popper. Wasn't up to that high yet. So rather than take the trade right then, based on how I felt the day was going to play out, I just went up here and set a buy stop. I wasn't in the position, but I told myself, okay, if we come up here and we break these highs up here, I want to go ahead and get in it. So what I did on Brokerage Plus is just set a buy stop. And you can see my Brokerage Plus tag right here. It finally did go back up there. When it hit that level and broke that high, it automatically got me in right about the 29.80 level. And then you can see what happened here in the next 30 minutes, up to 31.20. Okay, so that's a habit that everybody needs to get in, is when you see Holly in a trades, maybe you were busy with some other windows, maybe you were paying attention to Holly, but in any case, after these things have played out for a while and you see these little consolidations forming, whether you set a price alert or whether you're trading through Brokerage Plus and use a buy stop to get you in, it's always a good habit to get into. That way you don't miss it if it actually goes. And you know, the volume in this thing, look at how the relative volume closed, and it was just nice and easy. Okay, I'm going to set a buy stop, and let me see if I have my Brokerage Plus. I had to reset my, I had to close everything down and log off and back on, and it screwed up my Brokerage Plus. But I was going to display my max P&L columns, but those seem to have been blanked out. But I will show you my order or my execution here. Okay, setting a buy stop on rhythm. You can see the execution right there at the proper time, 200 shares, 29 and 82. And then we took a nice little excursion up to 31.22. An AI generated trade, but based on breaking the high of the day or the opening range breakout if the volume was there. And of course, today it was. All right. So a nice example also of some spread in here, because the little, look how small of a time Holly spent in this trade. And if we glance over here at the entry time and the exit time, only 19 minutes before she decided to pull the plug on a profit save, once again because of the sideways up-down motion hovering right around the entry line there. But keep in mind, when you see Holly exiting on a profit save or a reduced risk, eyeball that trade, see if you like it, because a lot of the times she'll make that premature exit. And we say time and time again that Holly, the AI, is not the most proficient trade exiter, okay? Really great on the statistical probability, doing all the heavy lifting behind the scenes that we can never hope to do. But sometimes we humans, due to our chart reading skills, can be a little bit more proficient on the exits. So if you get in the habit of looking at the reduced risk and profit save exits, sometimes those can be great entries. Now, the next one here, BECN, was a great little trade around. And as I'm watching the trades kind of play out, seeing how they behave around certain levels, BECN was a great example of a trade around, because I watched it come down here and hit the stop areas. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go back to 5-minute here. A little easier to point out. Okay. When it came down here and popped these stop levels, all right, I said to myself, okay, let's see how it behaves around the stop areas. Is it going to plummet through it and act like it's never going to revisit, or is it just going to kind of pop around here? And is the stop area going to act as some form of pivot level? All right. So when I saw these two green candles, I'm thinking to myself, it seems to be behaving. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at it. And I think my price was somewhere just off that low right there, somewhere right in this level right here, in the hopes that it would just get back to the entry line. And as you can see, it put up a good fight, got about 5/8 of the way there, took an excursion back down, took one more stab at it here, but nonetheless, it was a nice little profit opportunity. And sometimes they do get back to the entry line, and sometimes they even go higher from there. But a trade around is always good if you notice the stock that either got punched out on a reduced risk or a stop loss, because Holly closed it out early on this one, then it did go visit the stop area, behaved, I should say, around the stop area, and made for a nice little entry on intraday scalp there. Matter of fact, I gave you two opportunities here. If you played it here and were happy, you saw it come back down here, do it again, got a little bit more out of it on that one. And these are the trades that I like to term trade arounds. How did something act around the stop area? Does it make sense to try to take a stab at it, get a much better price than the AI, and hope for a regression back up to the entry line, or maybe even higher? So not the best on profit opportunity today, but market conditions, no big surprise. But the fact that the technique or the style of seeing how something reacts around the stop area, very good information there. And John, yeah, I see your question there about the AI. Does it swing trade or is it just intraday? Currently, all of these signals are geared around the intraday time frame. We've had an AI for swing trading on the drawing board for quite some time. We hope to have it rolled out sooner than later. There's no ETA yet, but word on the street from the developers bench, so to speak, is that at some point maybe Holly 2.0 will be replaced with a swing trade version of the AI. And we're all kind of waited with bated breath on that one because we all think that would be a great addition to the AI suite there. All right, let me take a look at my cheat sheet, see where we need to go there. That's about it for Holly today. Now let's talk about some great opening range breakouts that were present today. And as you may or may not be guessing currently, you know, I circle back around to those compare count readings. I'm thinking to myself, okay, probably not a lot of follow through to the upside today. Maybe we're going to have some nice short opportunities, and that is kind of the way it played out. Everything coming through my favorite momentum high ticker today was just running out of steam. They were just going inverted and then coming right back down to earth, not exhibiting patterns like what you see here. And I can tell you from experience, this one did not come through at this level. The volume wasn't there. That was something that I was running into a lot today. I saw a lot of good patterns, but the timing was off, so I didn't get alerted to them at the opportunistic times, simply due to the volume not being present that I look for. Okay, so I can assure you, if you scan through this ticker, you won't see any quality setups, okay? Unless I missed one, which is completely possible, but I had my eyes on this ticker like a hawk, as well as I did this window today. So keep in mind, before we are done today, I will drop these windows into the chat panel in case anybody wants to try them out, so don't worry about that. So let's take a look at some of the downside opportunity that we did have today. The first one came in the form of this one here, GTX. Tighten this up just a little bit. Clearly a seller in control in the opening 5-10 minutes. Seller comes on hot and heavy here. Can't just keep selling, can't have too much market impact. And look what happens. We got a nice little 5, 10, 15, 20. This is a 30-minute opening range break, all right? Big seller here. Then we get buyers and sellers become equal. So this is the first time GTX presented itself today. Depending on how aggressive you are, some people don't like to get involved this early. This is about the minimum amount of bars that you can have to go, okay, that is a valid little consolidation, valid pattern that I could use for an entry, in which case we would have used right up here as a stop loss if you were getting short here on this opening 30-minute range break. But look what we have right here. It looks very similar to some of the AI trades that we looked at today. So we get the entry right about the $2.97 area. And this is the second event, okay, which was flagged also with the window. Click there, notice the arrows there now. So two great opportunities depending on how aggressive you are. Let's say you didn't participate in this one, no big deal. You're not getting a much worse price here, maybe 7-8 cents, 292 area. And then this little guy just released nicely, going all the way down to 274. That's not too shabby. Relative volume finishing the day with a nice hefty 5, okay? And this little guy usually only kicking out, what do we got here, about 1.15 million shares, and we finished the day almost at 6 million, all right? So beautiful chart, beautiful volume in GTX, even though it is a lower dollar stock, kicking out a very nice percentage gain on this beautiful short entry here. Now what do we got? Next on the list, GMHI. This one happening pretty early on as well. What do we have here? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, about 40 minutes into the open. We get this, you know, little head fake first. Buyers are in control. We come up here, we set a top. We get the little consolidation area right here. We're range bound, and then whammy. As soon as we come down here to the 1126 area, another 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of chop before we get a pretty nice release in GMHI. All right, getting all the way down to 1095 from the entry of 1126. Looks like a huge move from a percentage basis. Once again, not too shabby. All right, not a lot to worry about once we made this entry here. But of course, just kind of reverting back to what I was saying, none of these things stayed down today. They all bounced. Things that were going up didn't stay at those lofty levels. They came back. And of course, I can't say everything did that, but most of the things out there having good swings to the upside and the downside eventually regressed to some extent, if not all of it. USB, not the case, all right, till late in the day, but had some nice release. All right, next on the list from the same ticker here, UTSI. Once again, nice gap, little head fake to the upside. They slam it right back down. Not as much, not as pretty of a consolidation here, but a clearly identifiable consolidation nonetheless, giving us the signal as it broke that orb right at the $1.73 level. Seems like a lot of the small dollar stocks are giving back some of the gains. Steve was pointing out the IWM earlier. No big surprise. It's continued to disappoint throughout all the NASDAQ highs, throughout all the SPY highs. So it's only natural to see a lot of these low dollar stocks giving back some of the big gains that they had. Some of these are going to be biotechs, some of them are not. But a lot of these guys that are having these big days starting to give some back here. And so once again, from $1.74 down to $1.35, not a bad percentage gain, all right? And then we get the regression back up. So pretty slim pickings from the range breaks, and all of the pretty ones were to the downside. No big surprise there. Now we did have a couple that came through my turbo up family, no resistance. This window hasn't been so productive as of late, but guess what? Since we're back in all-time high territory, we're starting to see some pretty decent plays come through here. So I will also drop this window in the chat area before we're done, because it produced some pretty interesting stuff today. First one is TXG. Now on the intraday chart, not really talking about an opening range break, although it isn't too far away from that key level there. Where I find it more interesting is on the daily, okay? Nice little consolidation up here, hugging the fast line like a glove, the 10-period moving average, and then we get an open. You know, what was the open today here? 110.50. So right below that breakpoint level right there. So once we get through that of 111.56, boy, that's interesting. Okay, we're breaking into all-time highs after this nice little well-behaved consolidation area while it's hugging that 10-period. Makes for good springboard action, and clearly you can see right here is where that signal came out. Once again, even on the 5-minute chart, hugging that 10-period fast line like a glove. So between this level right here, 111, I think, what was that price? Yeah, just slightly under 112. Considering this is 111.46 that we could have used as a little floor or stop loss or just below it, that's only a 50-cent risk, which on a $114 stock is not that bad. Probably could have stretched it out to 75 cents and been completely comfortable because it never went back down below that level. But once we see this happening on the daily, that was a really good entry price, and we can see what TXG did for the rest of the day. Let's check the volume on that. Not knocking it out of the park, but when you have new all-time highs and you got this in play, well, that makes for a good buy signal there. So all-time highs, if we squish up the daily chart, what you're going to notice is there's nothing showing itself that could act as potential support. So we never know when these things happen. Are they going to go on a 2-day run, a 3-day run? Sometimes they go on 4, 5, and 6-day runs. But this is definitely one that you might want to keep your eye on for tomorrow and the remainder of the week. It might present some additional good upside opportunity there. The next one is a stock that everybody's familiar with, good old Advanced Micro Devices. In my old alma mater, Austin, Texas, is where this company came into life. And as far as I know, that's where they still are, unless they've been outsourced to China. Let's hope not. But kind of the same type of action here. All right. Hugging that fast line recently, snuggling up and breaking that all-time high that we can see right here. I like this one on the intraday too because due to the alert that I'm using, didn't get an alert back here because I don't think it was up. Let's just do a little price check here. 86.17. Here we have the high. Yeah, so it opened. Volume wasn't kicking hard enough, okay? Sometimes that happens. We just miss it by 1 or 2 percentage points. get a nice little grind up here, presents yet another little pause and consolidation. All right. Notice the red line that the system automatically puts up for me, telling me that this could be an area of short-term supply, but boy, it did not care. It blew right through it. We closed here and has continued to go up for the rest of the day, even giving us one more add opportunity here later in the day to add a few more shares, and we would have been rewarded with that as well. So AMD making its break to all-time highs. I remember seeing it come through here not too long ago, about 4 days ago, took a little breather and now came back and attacked fresh. So AMD along with TXG, probably ones you want to keep your eyes on moving forward for the remainder of the week. All right, looks like we're doing okay on time. We're just right butted up to the 45-minute mark, which is good because that's about all the content I have for today. So before I kick it over to Scott, let me just take a moment here to drop these 2 windows into the chat. Actually 3 windows here, which will be the new T high as well as new T low to the downside. Option, there it is. Turbo breaks up, no resistance will be in there as well. All right, Steve, any questions I need to get to before I kick it over to Scott, or are we good? Let's see, Jim, I'm just reading your question here. Horizontal lines drawn on the daily, weekly chart.
Talk into my stupid mute. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Draw linked on the shorter time frame charts. Yeah,
I think it needs crosshair linking to do that, right?
I believe so, and we can easily, you're going to see a lot of garbage on my thing here because I haven't upgraded it. Drag it around and park it where you like. And anytime you want to get rid of a line, we just get the crosshair on there, hit the old delete button, and then it'll get rid of it for you. But Steve, I do believe you're right.
Yep, give that a try.
Of course, my screen is rather polluted here because if we go to properties here, you'll notice I have show crosshairs active. All right, Scott, I believe we're ready for you. If you're ready to walk us out and let everybody know how they can save a little bit of do-re-mi on either a new sub or an upgrade, we're ready for you.
Sounds great. Yeah, just be sure to check out the ebook we have about earnings seasons, trade-ideas.com/earnings. Go there and grab it. It's free. It's also got some cloud links that you can import into your layouts. So do check it out. The podcast we release periodically. Just search for Trade Ideas Podcast wherever you listen to your pods and add us. Check out the previous ones we've already done this year. We've got some great interviews up and we'll have a new one up soon. So stay tuned. If you add us as a subscription, you'll get the next one immediately as soon as it comes out. Summertime is a code, saves you 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. Also good for an upgrade. So write that down and use it before we change it when summer ends. You can find Jamie Hodge on Twitter at QuantBot and Steve Gomez at Today Trader. Also look for @Trade Ideas. Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook page to find and share everything we post with your friends. And if you have any questions at all, send them to info@trade-ideas.com. Thanks, Jamie and Steve. And we'll have this recording up later on tonight or tomorrow, and you'll get an email reminder tomorrow with a link to where you can find it. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thanks everybody for popping in. Happy trading, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yep, see you tomorrow.